So there's a lot to talk about for Detroit sports this week. We had, of course, the Tigers season continues to roll on. The Red Wings playoff fate is decided this week. And the Pistons wrap up their tank season from hell this year, this week. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Detroit sports this week and see how everyone fared this week.
Detroit basketball!
So starting off with the Pistons wrapped up their season this week. You know, they were able to get one last victory, beating the Indiana Pacers to snap another 11 fucking game losing streak. Jesus Christ, this season has been bad. 2 11-game losing streaks in the same fucking season, all happening nearly back-to-back. Good fucking lord, this team was ass this year. Like, I'm not 100% sure if this team was just complete ass, or if they were just losing on purpose to try and get the best odds at winning the first overall pick. Well, however you view it, you know, it worked because the Pistons, they finished the season after losing to Chicago in Chicago. They end the season 17-65, which will end up being the worst record in the NBA. And it's the second worst record the Pistons have ever produced in their franchise's history, beating their previous record by 1 win. Wow. So they failed to break the record by 1 win, thank fuck. And that would have been embarrassing if they tied that record, but damn. But yeah, the Pistons season is over. The Pistons, they enter the draft with the best odds at getting the first overall pick. And with the Pistons being the worst team in the league, the Pistons are guaranteed to have a top 5 pick no matter what in the draft lottery. But yeah, just thank God this season was over. This season was just painful to watch. Outside of Jay and Ivy and Jalen Duren, at least Killian Hayes had some moments too this year. You know, even James Wiseman showed some promise, but there are a lot of questions about this team in the offseason. The biggest question, though, is going to be who the new head coach will be. Because Dwayne Casey is officially done. The bad man can't hurt us no more, because it was announced right after the game in Chicago as breaking news. Dwayne Casey is officially stepping down as Pistons head coach to take a role in the Pistons front office beside Troy Weaver. So yeah, Dwayne Casey didn't get fired, but he's no longer the coach at least. But hey, at least that's something. So yeah, Casey didn't get fired, but he was allowed to resign from being head coach with a shred of dignity. But yeah, it was very obvious that Casey needed to go. Who knows, maybe Casey does better in the front office, but that's yet to be seen. But yeah, Casey's tenure went down as a complete failure. He was mainly brought in to take the Pistons that next step forward, and they made the playoffs that first season with him. And they did absolutely nothing. And then the team went downhill right after that. Mainly no defensive strategy or game plans and so many blown leads and opportunities. Just being unable to close out games has been this team's main Achilles heel under Dwayne Casey. But yeah, in the end, Casey's gone. Because, yeah, there was no way Casey could come back as head coach. Because this was the year the Pistons needed to make progress, and they completely failed in every aspect of it. But all I say is, so now Troy Weaver will enter this offseason looking for his head coach. So now Troy Weaver now gets to go in for the first time since becoming GM. And now Troy Weaver will get to bring his guy in to try and take this Pistons team that next step forward to compete with the Lions and the Red Wings for #1 sports team in Detroit. All I say to Troy Weaver and the Pistons is, for your next head coach, choose very wisely. Because this next head coach, it's going to be the decision to decide if you're going to remain the third best team in Detroit, or if you're going to actually compete with the Lions and the Red Wings for #1 sports team in Detroit, or if you somehow end up even worse than the fucking Tigers. I swear to fucking God, if you end up worse than the fucking Tigers. But yeah, and in terms of what happens with the draft lottery, well, given that the Pistons ended the season losing 23 of their last 25 games, and the NBA tends to use the lottery to punish teams for losing. And judging that since it's fucking Detroit and the media and the leagues always have it out for Detroit because Detroit versus everybody, I predict that the Pistons season, all that losing, it's going to equate to more than likely the 5th overall pick. get ready to get shafted, Piston fans. All I say to the NBA is, hey, if you're gonna shaft the Pistons, can you at least give us lube so that we don't feel any pain when we get fucked in the ass in the draft lottery, please? And now on to the Tigers. And well, the Tigers actually did a few things this week. Like, they had a pretty solid series against Houston, where they shockingly won a series. Well, they actually won a series against Houston. All it fucking took was me doing a goddamn trash talk video on the Astros. No, I'm not doing a trash talk video for every fucking series this year. No. There is a limit to what I will do, and that ain't it. The Detroit sports teams can learn to fucking win when I don't do a trash talk video. How about learn to do that for once? And instead of just relying on me to get in the other fan base's heads for you. For fuck's sakes. But hey, they had a solid series against Houston, even though the last game it just looked like the series against Tampa Bay. But hey, at least you beat Houston, so at least there's one positive there. And then the series against Boston, it went right back to normal. Went back to the Pistons team, the Tigers team we all know and know very well this year. Just complete struggles against the Red Sox, could not get anything going. But hey, at least they won a couple games against Houston this year. So yeah, at least there's that. But yeah, just another rough week for Detroit sports outside the series against Houston. But yeah, and that series against Boston was the Tigers' home opener. Damn. That sucked again. That sucked, especially to Boston. Look. But yeah, Torkelson really looking solid this year too, Whether that keeps up or not is yet to be seen. But yeah, the Tigers season now officially getting underway. They got a big series though next week in Toronto for the Blue Jays home opener. And yeah, the season now starting to roll. If anyone's wondering, I'm not doing another NBL baseball trash talking video till maybe May for the Mets. So yeah, gonna be a while, but yeah. For the Tigers, actually wanting to win some fucking games and series without me fucking trash talking the fan base for once. Fuck sakes, the Lions have been able to figure it out and still have the Red Wings for the most part. Too bad the Pistons can't figure it out, but fuck it. But yeah, actually wanting to fucking win something when I don't trash talk for once. And now on to the Red Wings. And well, the Red Wings, the week started off very well with a dominant shootout win against the Montreal Canadiens, officially ending Montreal's playoff hopes, and they literally did, because Montreal was officially eliminated from playoff contention this week. So yeah, the Wings officially ended Montreal's foolish playoff hopes, and sucked the life out of every Habs fan's hopes and dreams, which is something you love to see too. Not only do I love sucking the life and joy and hope out of Habs fans, I like to suck it out of Leaf fans too. But sadly, the big two games this week were against Buffalo and Pittsburgh, the two games that would decide the Red Wings season. In the end, the Red Wings played a hard-fought game against Buffalo, and in the end, it just wasn't enough as they ended up losing to Buffalo in a shootout 7-6 in a very high-scoring shootout game, figuratively and literally. So yeah, that was a big loss to them. And then the Red Wings on Saturday at home got completely blown out by Pittsburgh 5-1, with the Penguins keeping their faint playoff hopes alive. And with the Red Wings losing both those games, it means that the Red Wings have officially been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention again. Yeah, that sucked that the Wings got eliminated this year, because it looked very promising at the very start of the season with the hot start the Red Wings got off to early in the season. It looked very promising that maybe this is the year the Wings finally go back to the playoffs, but in the end, this Red Wings team was just very inconsistent, just could not get any shred of consistency going outside the Eastern Conference. But let me just say that if the Wings played in the Western Conference, they 100% would have made the playoffs this year. But sadly, the Wings don't play in the West. They play in the goddamn Eastern Conference. And the East has been an absolute bloodbath. But despite all that, and despite the fact that the Wings have a winning record, they're still currently inside the top 10 in the draft order, shockingly. Because, yeah, the East is that much of a bloodbath with how many teams ahead of them are Eastern Conference teams. But yeah, even though the Wings made some massive progress this year from where they were a year ago with Jeff Blashill, with Blashill's useless ass, still got a long ways to go, still waiting on some prospects, Marco Casper looked very solid that first game. Too bad he got fucking injured. Damn, that sucked. And Simon Edvinsson has looked very solid and contributed pretty well during his 8 games so far. From what I know, Edvinson's only going to play 1 game this week to end the season, only one of the last 3 games, just so they don't burn a year off his entry-level contract. But yeah, Edvinsson looks like he's getting some good reps and getting warmed up, because it's very likely that Edvinson's going to be on the Red Wings main roster next year. I don't think Casper will, though. I think Casper needs another year of juniors. Like I say to Steve Eichmann, don't rush him. Just stick to the plan and just have him playing Grand Rapids for a year. Don't rush him. The Wings got some good prospects, though. And with the way the Islanders are, it looks like the Wings might be getting the Islanders' first-round pick this year, since the Islanders are currently hanging on to a playoff spot. And if the Islanders make the playoffs, then that pick won't be protected, and the Wings can get that pick, since that first-round pick they have from the Islanders is a top 10 lottery-protected pick. So if it's a non-lottery pick, then the Wings get it by default. But yeah, the Wings, though, they still got 3 games left, at least end the season on a high note. And if the Wings can end the season on a high note, there's still a chance where the Wings could have their first winning season since they last made the playoffs. Back in 2016, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was 2016 again when they lost in 5 to Tampa Bay in Pavel Datsyuk's final season. Because every year that the Wings have missed the playoffs, they've had a losing record every year since then. So, at least get a winning season this year. Have Derek Lalonde's first season as Red Wings head coach and on a high note. But the Wings got some very intriguing pieces to come and up here. They got the rest of their season wraps up this week. Their final game is Thursday in Tampa Bay. And of course, their final home game is against Dallas Monday. But yeah, still, despite the, the Wings, they got off to a hot start, just this team was very inconsistent. They probably could have maybe done some in the playoffs, but I have my doubts. But, maybe not, but 100%, 100% I think the Wings will make the playoffs next year. I think the Wings are getting there. They're getting there. They just need a couple more pieces to come in and step it up. Like Simon Edvinsson, I think it's time for Simon Edvinsson to come up. I think it's Edvinsson's time to come up next season. 100% Edvinsson, I think it's time to call him up. I think Casper needs another year before he comes up. And the Eisman just got to work his draft magic in the draft this year. And who knows what happens in the draft lottery? It's a complete crapshoot, and it's 100% fucking rigged. But who knows? Maybe the Wings get a break and they end up with the first overall pick and win Connor Bedard. If the Wings somehow by some snowball chance in hell end up with Connor Bedard, it will be a massive adrenaline shot to the arm for the rebuild. But yeah, the Wings are getting close, but they still need a little more. Regardless of what happens, though, I still trust Steve Eisman to do his job and to get this team back to where it needs to be. Back in the playoffs. Back in contention for the Cup. But yeah, despite that, though, the Wings got one last week here. And all I say is for the Wings' last 3 games, folks, enjoy these last 3 Red Wings games this week, folks, because this is the best sports team we will have in Detroit until September when football season starts. Because, oh god, the Tigers still look like the worst. Tigers are still the worst team in Detroit right now. They're worse than the goddamn Pistons. But yeah, for the Tigers, it's safe to say they're tanking to try and get the first overall pick at next year's draft lottery. But yeah, anyway, though, on to this week, I'll be still doing draft previews. Of course, I am going to get to, and for the Red Wings offseason, I am going to be taking a look at the top 10 prospects to keep an eye on, because there are a few interesting prospects to keep an eye on, for the Red Wings, for the future. And I am going to be doing a free agency recap on the Lions, just been very busy with other content and doing the Lions draft previews. But I am going to be doing that free agency recap video probably Friday. But anyway, though, that'll wrap it up here. That's all I gotta say. I'll see you whatever I make next. I'm out.